know if you knew, but you can get Porsche Boxsters for less than $8,000. And I almost got one for our Cheap Car Challenge because it was the car no one expected me to get until you passed up on a beautiful Z4, and I went, I've never owned a BMW. So I got the Z4, now the Boxster, and now we're in the Porsche Boxster, which is still available for less than $8,000.
Why am I letting you drive the Porsche first?
Well,
what's going on here?
Because everyone watching expects you to be in this seat first. That's exactly why.
You're watching Everyday Driver. We make a TV show, podcast,
and YouTube channels helping you find a car you'll love.
This is our second Cheap Car Challenge, and with the help of Auto Tempest, we're doing a year of adventures in $7,500 sports cars.
Subscribe so you don't miss a thing. It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
I am trying my hardest to not be biased.
And you're failing. You're failing, aren't you?
Yes.
You're not even driving yet.
Yes.
You're failing. Yeah.
Failing.
Yeah.
How
okay.
good is this?
It's actually very good. This is an 03, so it's mid-cycle refresh on the original Boxster.
This is the 986.2. Bump the power. It's the 2.7 liter up to 225 horsepower, 5-speed. How good is this?
Well,
how good is this?
This is the key thing. You're buying the base Boxster of the unloved design.
Totally unloved.
The reason that they are cheap.
Unloved.
Well, but this has the fried egg headlights, which were not loved.
Yeah.
It has the questionable early 2000s interior, late 90s, early 2000s interior, which is also not loved. These are the things that kind of keep it off most people's radar, which means
for sure.
The price is lower.
This is the perfect car. This is the perfect car for $8,000 and under.
Well, this is a huge contender. I mean, you're watching this and going, "There's no way I'm going to buy a cheap Boxster." Now, maintenance will vary. You can find those cheap ones, and some people have not taken care of them, and yes, they could turn into money pits. And when these cars need something, it's 20 to 25% more than if you were maintaining your local Miata.
Yes.
However,
true.
This one has been very well maintained, 88,000 miles, and it feels new. It feels new.
It's superb.
I can't even believe how good this one feels. We have seen them for $8,000, and they weren't death traps. They were like solid, ready to be driven.
Right.
They need a couple things here. Most of them just need tires and a service.
Let me have a little talk with all of you.
Oh no.
About your fear about buying a Porsche, especially an almost 20-year-old. We'll call this a 20-year-old.
It's a 20-year-old car,
okay?
Yep.
Because you think ball cut bushings wear out and bushings everywhere else and seals and all that stuff. Yeah, they do. But they do on every car.
Yep.
But we're going after specifically, what is the most fun car? Did we do well? Did we not do well? Is there a car we should have picked?
This is a small flat 6, by the way, and the howl is still good.
This.
The howl is still good.
It's superb. This car is why sound for Porsche will never go away. I'm predicting now.
Interesting.
Because it now is part of the driving experience.
Yeah, especially
when you wind it out through a corner,
yep.
You leave it in gear, you just go.
Yep.
How good is this?
Very. This is a lot nicer version than the one that we had the last time we had a early Boxster. That one was a little more run down than this. So yes, IMS issues can be a thing, but they're not nearly as bad as you think. This is a fantastically inexpensive way to get yourself into a fantastic Porsche driving experience.
Yes.
If you've never had a Porsche, you've thought, I'd always wanted a Porsche, but I can't afford it. $8,000 or less gets you into a first-gen Boxster, and it is genuinely worth the money. And Porsche is good about maintaining parts for their old cars.
I agree.
You can do things to these to update them.
You're just writing the brochure for me. Just write it for me.
You're right, I am.
This car feels far more robust, or just as robust as any of the cars that we've got here. It's 2,800 pounds. I now know why Porsche makes the base model of everything. Everybody seems to wonder if the S is better, why would you buy the base model? It's because of age. This car is lighter than the S, and this car is cheaper than the S.
True.
And now it makes the case for these cars to be bought, kept, or traded later on. Here we go. This is the base, as base as you can get. And it's still so much fun. It's fun to ride here.
It is.
This is superb.
And it's comfortable. That's the thing. This is one of the few that we have here that has walked that line of being dual purpose, of feeling like a small little roadster on a back road, but also feeling like a decent place to just drive cross country. I sprang to the Miata first.
Okay.
Seemed like a great place to drive, but not a great place to sit for a long time to do a road trip.
This is brilliant.
This is a great place to drive,
Yep.
but you could do the entire US on just back roads and be happy. Now, that's something that I do think is a little more evident in the two cars we got than some of the rest of these.
Great.
Your SLK and my Z4, we've done big road trips in them. They are a little more road trip friendly than this, but dynamically, this is at the levels of the Miata, while it's at the GT levels of the other cars. It actually is doing both
Really is.
incredibly well.
I can't wait to drive.
Yeah,
Can't wait to drive.
I'll let you talk about styling after you change.
Sweet. Yes.
This interior was old and awful the day they released it. It was in the 996, 911 as well. It wasn't a good interior choice. It hasn't aged well. At this price, though, I don't care anymore. I don't care.
You have to stop caring, but the best part about it is in gray and black. It looks the best. If you're going to get it, it does look the best. But I'm home. This is where I need to be. This is, now that I have held myself back and
Now
I've
you're
shown
not
my
anymore.
unbiased part of the review.
You've done so well. You've been so very unbiased, yes.
Oh, listen to that. See that sound? Well, look, when the concept came out, I thought it was absolutely brilliant. It was smaller originally than what the production car turned out to be.
Yeah.
But I think this, stylistically, is one of the prettiest cars still. And to think that you can buy a pretty Porsche for $8,000 or less?
I don't think this is all that attractive. I think it's aged okay. I think it actually has aged okay, and I think it's gotten a little more attractive over time. I think we've gotten used to the fried egg headlights.
Well, let me separate that then.
Okay, please.
Because I'm separating shape from from I'm not looking at the graphic of the light or the tail light or the headlight. I'm looking at the form.
Boxster shape. Okay,
just the form itself with the overhangs, where people sit, the packaging. That's what I'm looking at. That's what I mean when I say pretty. Okay, I'll give you the fried egg headlights. Those didn't age well. But as far as the form, the fenders, those surfaces, they're just classic and clean.
Well, the generation after this nailed it on styling.
Yeah, it did.
It's just this first gen had a little like first year troubles, if you will. It just kind of had that, we got to find ourselves. And then they did for the second gen with the 987. If you buy this car for less than $8,000, no one that sees you pull up in it will think you spent less than $8,000. That's both a positive and a negative.
Yeah.
Because people are going to think you're rolling heavy, and you spent less than they did probably on their car, and you bought yourself a Porsche. And then it's good dynamically.
It's so good. All of these corners, I'm just grinning back here. When you throw this into the corner, you have that German car solidity, that X factor that I've been looking for. But now it feels light. Now it feels delicate and interesting. There's feedback, and the car rotates right around you. It's like wearing a backpack. I'm so happy to be here. It just feels so natural to me.
And you as a Porsche owner are coming back to this mid-engine Porsche and going, yes, that's why you feel like you're home. Completely.
I am so thrilled with this car. And what's so pleasing is to know that they have gotten cheap, and they've stayed cheap.
Yeah.
Which is so Porsche. Even though I know that Porsches are crazy expensive, but the whole entire idea and brand of Porsche is to bring real sports car dynamics to everybody, democratize
Theoretically.
And finally, at the base model, 20 years old, it's exactly what it does. And 2,800 pounds.
This is a lot of car for the money. That's the thing I can't get past.
I'm going to continue to do my best to justify your ownership of this car, to buy it and put money into it. Should we put money into old cars that aren't worth very much? The Porsche is the shining example, in my opinion, to put money into to keep them running because of how the dynamics are. And because of your point, how long Porsche supports their cars.
They do.
Afterwards.
There's a lot of good parts.
Many companies are doing this.
You can often take a lesser model and upgrade it with parts from bigger models very easily. And they have a lineup of sports cars that allows you a lot of flexibility to do that.
Words are failing me to justify the expenditure of your money to buy parts to keep your Porsche, your old classic Porsche now, running. It is so worth it. It's like a responsibility that you have to the enthusiast community, not only to keep it running, but to drive it and show it off. Get it out here and
Drive it
show it to
hard.
people.
Yes,
So
it's
people
worth it.
remember and
It's worth
say,
it.
oh yeah, Porsche, I remember that Porsche.
I 100% agree with your point that you should buy these and drive them. What I think is hysterical is the fact that you are actually creating in the mind of the audience that they should feel responsible. They should have a responsibility to go buy a cheap Porsche.
No, you should feel obligated.
That's what I'm saying. You're obligating the audience to buy a Porsche.
Yes.
That is a level we have not gone to before, ladies and gentlemen. There we go.
It drives so well, and I'm fully justified on the base models. They're lighter, they're less expensive, and theoretically a little bit less expensive to maintain.
Yes.
So the base Boxster is the one you want.
I have a
fantastic.
base Cayenne, and it's been phenomenally good to us as far
Yes.
as reliability
Wanna hear
and the
something
cost
cool?
of parts. Does sound good.
Oh,
does sound good.
yes.
It's
I'm
especially
thrilled with
interesting
this.
because here we are with a smaller flat 6.
Yeah.
And we know that Porsche in the 718 has gone to a flat 4
Yep.
and turbos, and they lost that sound. Here you still have that sound. Now,
You can buy the sound cheaper.
we're at altitude and we're down on power. I feel like both of us drive this and just go, yeah, that feels about right.
It feels about right, but you can connect corners and it's
Yes.
still got enough. I tried. I really did.
Paul likes the Porsche. If you followed along to the podcast or the videos for 5 minutes to know that he likes Porsches and he owns a Porsche, this should not be a surprise. However, in
Really
this
did.
case, I will back you up. This is great, especially for the money. It's phenomenal.
I appreciate that. That means a lot.
Do your own $7,500 or less search. Click the Auto Tempest link in the video description and tell us in the comments what you've come up with.